My name is Łukasz, because I didn't introduce myself yet. I'm a core team lead right now, also architect and IP designer in Sylius. So some part of it can be blamed on me if you don't like it. We can also make a discussion later if some stuff was too deep or too shallow, and if you need more information. Perhaps also some next iteration, if you will be curious, will be presented. Now, today we will present you, this will be a few slides at the beginning of the short introduction, then we'll jump to the details, and then we'll have some spot for the future. If you have any question, I would say that it's totally fine to interrupt me or just raise a hand. I'm still watching you, so then on the particular slide, we can actually discuss the details if you are curious about something. Also, I know that, especially when I'm presenting, I tend to speak too fast, and if it will be the case, and if it will be too fast for any of you, please also raise the hand and ask me to make it slower, so everyone can also understand me, just to make both sides better during the conversation. I just sometimes forget when I'm in the flow of speaking. So my ask to you, if it will be too fast, please tell me about it, and I will slow down. Now, let's jump into it. So first of all, what is Sylius Plus? Sylius Plus is just first of all plugin to Sylius. So it's no new project, it's not new base, it's just something that we built on the top of it. Therefore, it means that everything that you could do with Sylius, you can do with Sylius Plus. All the plugins are still installable. Perhaps some additional integration layer will be required, but other than that, this is the pure Sylius project that you have already. Every fix that is landing in Sylius will be available for you as well, in addition to some additional features that I will talk a little bit more later. We also didn't decide for a separate project because we want to keep it all compatible. So first of all, thanks to Sylius, you can benefit from the whole Symfony ecosystem. With Sylius Plus, you can still benefit from Symfony ecosystem and also from the Sylius ecosystem, because all the plugins will be compatible with Sylius. It's just additional layer that we add more features. And as we are with the features, it's just a set of the premium features for more demanding users, mostly focused right now on the better order management and on the more advanced administration features. Plus some additional stuff like last login of the administrator, loyalty logic. Some of them are small, some of them are bigger. Let's take a look into first part of it. So I grouped them into better multi-channel administration, and this pack of feature starts with, first of all, with RBAC. RBAC is a role-based access control that allows you to determine in which part of the system some administrator may do some influence or just read the data. So you can either declare that some information are some information are read-only, some operations or whole stacks are not available, etc. Secondly, we have business units. This means that behind your channels, there can be one business unit. And of course, one business unit may be behind more than one channel. Therefore, you can group your channels to one business unit, and it's allow you to have the same information about the company, about the taxation, etc., for invoices, for orders in one place without duplication of data. The third one is channel admins or administrators, and this one is really strongly correlated with RBAC, but it's something totally different. While RBAC is blocking you particular parts of the admin panel, channel admins allows you to filter data for admins from different departments. So in case you have your departments in several countries, and you would like that the department from Germany will not see what are the orders or products from the France, and the France department should not see what is available in the German department, then channel admins are for you. And on the top of that, you can, of course, add additional filtration for role-based access control. So these are strongly connected in some sense. So it's also about the security and allowance, what can administrator see, but they work differently because they work on different level. One is about shrinking the available options for the administrator, and second, and channel admins are about shrinking the informations that are available to the the administrator. In some cases, they both sides may overlap, but as it's slightly different, we develop in also a different way. I will jump to the details later. And the fourth one is customer pools. This feature allows you to bring multiple customers on the same email to the Sylius instance, and there will be assigned to given customer pool. Customer pool may be assigned to one or more channels, and it means that among these channels, this customer will be treated as equal. So it will have one password, one identifier, and one account. While in different customer pool, this customer will have to register again to have access to the shop. Of course, everything is split between customer pools. So if the customer has some order in channel A with the customer pool A, and then he logs into channel B, customer pool B, he will not be able to determine that these shops are the same. So it's built to provide you some features of white labeling if you would like to have one Sylius instance but several shops, and customers should not be aware that they have already an account in your shop. In some cases, it may be also required for regular shop if you have different departments, and the customers just should not be able to use them out of the box, and they should follow different registration process or something like that. Second big chunk of features are better order management features, and these part focus on multi-source inventory. So in Sylius Plus, you may have different warehouses that will store your products, and then we will determine from which warehouse the package should be delivered. Secondly, we have split delivery. So once you receive an order, you may decide manually in admin panel that, okay, I have some part of the parcel already ready, and I would like to send just part of it, and this part will be delivered right now with some tracking code, and the rest will still wait for its moment in the queue. And then lastly, RMA, so return management automation, which is the huge part of Sylius Plus right now, which allows you for better management of return system in general. It allows you to receive the package, so the customer needs to fill some form that, okay, I will be returning this amount of items. There is a possibility to attach some pictures, some description. Administrator can accept it or reject it. He or she can also decide what type of resolution will be perfect fit. So of course, customer may suggest one, but your administrator may decide for something else. As an example, let's take a moment when customer requires a full refund for the items, but your administrators are deciding that repair will be a better approach to that. RMA is also integrated with multi-source inventory and other features that are available, like returns, like refunds, but this is also something that I will jump a little bit deeper later. And another feature that I didn't group into previous ones, so it's also a loyalty, which allows us to bring our customers and make them more loyal. So of course, it's all about counting points, having some account that will just trace them, and then customers may exchange points into coupon codes, which can be used for the discounts. But that's of course not the only usage. This is just the default one that we provide in Sylius Plus. On the top of it, we provide some assurance policies, so SLI, where you can just access our support board where I and rest of the developers are available. So in case you have some problems with your app, you're writing tickets that will be served by the people that works on this code base in the sprint basis. So just to make sure that you can push forward with your project, there's also an SLA, as it's of course paid like. That would be enough for the short introduction. So let's move on to how it works. Before details of each package, let's talk a little bit about the general approach. For now, Sylius Plus is all in one package. This means that all the features that I just described briefly in the previous section are available in one folder. So once you are installing Sylius Plus, you are receiving all of it. In the future, which I will also repeat later, we are thinking about splitting these features into separate parts. Another part of from the code perspective is that each feature has its own domain and they're split inside. So as you can see on this slide, I just put business units, customer pools, and RBAC folders. I open them. You can see that they're internally they are split into three like layers: infrastructure, domain, and application. But also what you can see here is that each of this feature has its own namespace, and we try to strip the separation of the concerns in the Plus itself to improve our and yours developer experience. The Sylius Plus is upgradable from the open source version. We already have a few features or a few companies that did it previously. So you can also start from the Sylius open source version and then plug Sylius Plus in the later phase. And the last one is equally high quality. So you can expect the same approach that we have to the code from the Sylius perspective, from the open source perspective to the Plus. All the things that you already seen, like BHAT scenarios, so BDD and TDD approach, the code is highly tested. We try to integrate everything that is available in the Sylius. So all the IP platform integration that we are moving with right now in the open source version is also available in the Plus with additional features. So altogether, you're receiving more of the same plus some better solution. And for this better solution, I hope that I will also convince you in the later phase of this presentation. So moving forward to more details of each feature, let's start out with business units. First of all, business units is the pretty small additional feature that allows you to different business entities behind channels, and this allows you, as I told you, define different addresses for invoices, order management, etc. There are some stuff like taxation numbers, so it could be also useful for some more B2B implementation. The implementation itself is pretty simple, just entity that has relation to the channel, has relation to the address, some information about the company name, who is the representative, and tax ID are also here just for the accounting purposes. This data is also important because Sylius Plus is already integrated with Sylius Invoice plugin. Therefore, this data is already integrated with the plugin itself. This means, which I will also repeat later, that just by using Sylius Plus, you're also by default using Sylius Invoicing plugin, Sylius Refund plugin, because there are highly integrated into Plus flow itself. If you don't have any questions for this section, let's jump to some stuff that is a little bit more complicated and interesting. So channel admins. Channel admins, as I said earlier, are the feature that allows you to make some difference between logic that is available from the data that's available for the channels. You have one admin that you have usually at least one admin that is super admin, and he has access to all the data that is available in the shop. But then you may have different administrators for given channel, for given departments, etc., and they will see only data from this particular site. As I said previously, it's independent from RBAC, so it means that channel admins does not say anything about what sections are available for a given channel, but it's also compliant with RBAC. Therefore, you may just mix and match both features. If you want to have a super admin for a given channel, you are able to do it. So he or she will have access to all the shop, but only to particular set of data related to this channel. Also, you can have super admins, so with access to all the channels, but only to particular sections of it. But usually you will determine that some administrators have restricted access both with RBAC and channel admin. Therefore, it's worth mentioning that from now on, the channel and administration and admins channels and the admins have relation between each other. It's done with the simple trait. So once you are installing Sylius Plus, you're recommended to use the trait like this, which will add a relation to the channel itself. But of course, you are not forced to. So and this moment is a good moment to stop for a second and discuss trait and extendability of Sylius Plus. Because all the entities are already defined in Sylius, we didn't want to define more entities or extend entities by default in Sylius Plus, because it could block you from using some other plugins, because you always can have only one inheritance. And if Sylius Plus will declare some classes that inherit from Sylius, and some plugins will also do it, you need to choose one of them and you're a little bit blocked. Therefore, we decided for traits with what you can see here already, some doctrine mapping. So you are able to just use the trait and have it off your head if you decide for Maxim, I will just answer it in a second. So what I was saying, that you may use traits which use doctrine annotation, and once you just make a use, then you need to do migration and you are done. But also we use it traits and interfaces, so you can just implement interface, declare just channel field on your own, and then decide in which way you would like to declare channels mapping for your application. So you may choose YAML, attributes, XML. It's up to you if you are not using traits. And there was a question, the channels are the same channels as in front or specific admin channels? No, these are exactly same channels that are available in the front. So as the channels are determined by hostname, and this is where the customers are placing orders. If some order will be placed in particular channel and administrator has access to this channel, then he will see it. Otherwise, this data will be hidden for him. Moving forward, the channel admins is the feature that we use. JB, sorry, it's I forget your name for the early presentation. Yes, it's the same channels as in front, as you said. Document filtration and database level control. So the channel admin feature this is the main difference between RBAC, where RBAC works on the particular request. Channel admins are used to filter data on the database level, because we need some stuff that from the database level, we need to restrict data. So the pagination will work fine. We need to be sure that filtration, sorting, pagination, etc. will work as expected. Also, some data should not be visible. So if we filter the data on the database level, there's no possibility to access it in the code. Of course, taking account that everything will be configured properly. This also means that we were using Doctrine filtration, which is built-in functionality into Doctrine. And then during the request, additional class is called, which will add another where statement to the query that is executed to the database that will restrict channels. That being said, it's important to remember that if your query does not include relation to the channel, this feature will not work. Therefore, even if you are not using channels for querying, you need to join this data just to be sure that it will also be respected during channel filtration. In addition to that, some data like show pages are also okay. So now it works also on Sylius resources by default, because most of the stuff is filtered on the request. But you may also extract this to your custom code if needed. I also wanted to say that you need to remember about the query to integrate with the channel. Okay, I lose the thought. Let's move forward, and perhaps there will be a question, or I will just remind myself later on. Okay, let's move forward to customer pools. Customer pools, as I told you previously, is the feature that is oriented on restricting which customer, restricting how wide access the customer has to particular channels. And again, if you have two departments, for example, Germany and France, and customer has already account in France, you perhaps may not want him to make shopping in Germany because of some regulation or whatever. But also it may be useful if you have one shop and you're setting up shops for different influencers, and each of them would like to have its own template. That's a separate topic, but also usually users should not be aware that one influencer and second influencer has the same account behind, so the customer should not be aware that they're hosted by the same platform, to not also see their orders, etc. Therefore, customer pools allows you to have more than one customer with the exact email in the database. The uniqueness is preserved on the customer email plus customer pool. So there can be only one customer with the customer email and customer pool sequence, but you may have several customers with the same email. As customers are related to orders, for example, when you have several customers, you will not see them, the customers will not see their own orders in different customer pools. In admin panel, it has also consequences that if you see different customers, if you see the customer with the same address email, but from the different customer pools, their order will also not be mixed. So we can rather just look for the customer with given email, then you will have all of them, but particular customer are just separate entities and separate concerns. And also, it's important to also remember that the channel and customer pools, customer pool has relation. Channel may have only one customer pool related to it, but customer pool may be assigned to several channels. And this way you may, for example, have different channels for mobile app and web app, so still treat them differently, or perhaps some set of the channels may work with one customer pool, if it's your case, but other channel or other group of channels may not be aware of particular group of customers. Moving forward, let's jump into RBAC. Perhaps before I will jump in, are there any other questions? Are you asking something, but is it too fast for you? Okay, great. RBAC. And so when a few moments ago, I was talking about the channel and the restriction and filtration of the data. Now let's talk about access control details. So how we are restricting which sections are. Now, I remember what I wanted to say about the channel admins. Even though the channels, even though you need to have channels fetched from the database, so you need to have a join on your query to the channels to restrict access for the collections. There is still another layer of the access control, which is for the single items that will be accessed on the short pages, edit pages, etc., that will restrict even if you make some mistake. So there are like two layers of it. First one is working on the database level. So let me bring this slide. So on the database level, it's mostly important for collections, and it will also be used for items, for the single particular items. But there is also code level control that if you try to show in the admin panel in the Sylius some item that has access to the channel, but your admin should not see it, it will be also blocked on the code level. So there's also another layer of like a safety net. Of course, it's not perfect because the administrator will see collection of items that he should not see, but at least he will not be able to do anything because access to the details of it will be blocked. So just a side note that this is what I wanted to say previously. Moving forward to RBAC. RBAC is role-based access control, and therefore we can block access to particular sections of site. With RBAC, we are intercept kernel requests and checking if the customer has particular access. So the user may have set of the permissions. These permissions are just strings that are set on the user entity. And during every request, we are checking if particular route is assigned to, is allowed for given user. The RBAC also allows you to filter some part of the UI. So if the administrator does not have access to some particular section like marketing, configuration, or just a particular admin cannot ship the order for whatever reason, the buttons, etc., will be hidden as well. It's also worth noticing that for now we are not using guard no voters. The code was implemented before it was available, so the integration is a little bit old-fashioned, let's say this way, and no guard voters are from the Symfony components are used in this implementation. However, it still allows you to list all routes that are available in your admin panel in some section, and then choose just which of them are available for the customer. This routes list is grouped together under aliases, so it's highly coupled to the Sylius concept. It's highly coupled to the Sylius concepts. So, for example, if you have inventory and you would like to block or allow the inventory, you may just allow the whole alias, and all the rows that are available below this alias will be available or not to the given customer. So by default, it works only with Sylius resources, but you can also allow for some external paths to be available here as well with some additional code. And I need to be also true with you. There is a possibility to revert of this concept to use more guards of voters in the future. Moving forward to inventory. Inventory is the whole new structure behind default Sylius interfaces. So if you will check how the inventory is developed in Sylius right now, you will see that in some moment there is inventory operator that contains 3 methods, and these 3 methods are cancel, hold, and ship. And in Sylius Plus, we took the interface from the Sylius, but then delegate the work to separate classes because the logic starts to be much more complicated. Because we have several inventories, we need to decide from which inventory the order will be delivered, etc. So we just develop different operators that focus on each part, but all of it is behind the old interface, so we can easily integrate it with Sylius and also with its current state machine. It's worth noticing in terms of inventory that with Plus, we changed how the state machine of the shipment works. So previously in Sylius, when you finish the order, something was, some items were reserved, and then when it were paid, the stock was reduced. So it could, there could be a situation when you have something on yours, when someone bought something, paid for it, so the stock is reduced in the inventory, but the package is not yet delivered or sent from your warehouse. In Sylius Plus, we change this behavior, and the inventory is reduced at the moment of shipping of the shipment. But moving forward to inventory details, in warehouses are also channel aware, so each of the departments may have its own inventories. In the simple or the demo of the Sylius Plus, we have 2 in Germany and 2 in France. So that's like Lyon warehouse, also Hamburg warehouse, and like 2 more. So you may also like split inventories between departments, but what is important is that inventories are not yet filtered by channel admins. So this is the last feature that was left to us to also implement the channel filtration on the base of data. So yet it's not available, but it's on our backlog pretty high from what I know. Inventory also comes with the possibility to update inventory in batches in the UI. So on the list of inventory from the given warehouse, you can just change the information just on the index list, but you can also integrate inventory with some warehouse management system, ERP, etc. via API, and then periodically just update data in Sylius, so it will be aware what can be sold or not. Of course, the inventory is fully integrated with validation, so you cannot oversell in the default implementation. Inventory is already integrated with return systems. Therefore, if someone bought something from you and they return the items and they're still available to sell, you can return items to your warehouse. And because we are talking about the multi-source inventory, you may choose into which warehouse the items landed or were received. So we can just decide into which section or which warehouse the items were received or not, if they're damaged or something like this. Let's also take a look into inventory resolution logic, because the biggest complication that comes with the multi-source inventory is from which warehouse there should be fetched. In our implementation, it goes like this. We are filtering all disabled inventories for a given channel. So only, first of all, the inventory needs to be enabled, and it also needs to be available in the particular channel where the customer is making some shopping. Then we are filtering all inventories without sufficient stock. So therefore, if the inventory stock is not sufficient, then we are moving away it. And then from the left list, we are taking first that wins. In the future, we are also thinking about like the fullest fulfillment or something like that, but this is the current implementation. Of course, both filtering system and this resolution system may be replaced with your custom logic if you want to intercept with it or just replace some logic. I assume that probably this first inventory wins may not be enough for you. Later, let's jump to the split delivery. This feature, Sylius already provides you the possibility to have multiple payments and multiple shipments, but in open source version, it wasn't used that much, so it wasn't possible to have more than one shipment, to be precise. You could achieve it with some customization. And in Sylius Plus, we are allowing you to create a new shipment in the admin panel, so or with the API, that you can just select, okay, so some subset of shipment units, this means that some particular items on your list will be delivered in this package, but the previous package will stay as it was. So you can just say that, okay, the customer would need to wait another month because one item on the list is still blocked, but you want to be generous for them and send the one package earlier just to make them pleased, and you just split the payments. The previous package stays as it was in the system, but the new one is marked as shipped. It's also worth noticing that, of course, split shipments are integrated with inventory and state machines. So, for example, if you ship some part of shipment, the order state changes to the partially shipped. Each shipment has its own state machine to also trace the changes between them. And of course, it's integrated with the multi-warehouse system. The next on the list, as from the previous features that I presented to you, were returns. And returns provide you multi-step process that is integrated through the state machine. And to be more precise, what is there already? Let's take a look into return request state machine. On the top of it, you can see that there are, on the top of it, there's like quick state machine configuration. If you're not familiar with it, let me just tell you that it's the state machine for the given class, which is return request. On the property path, on the state field, will hold this current state of the state machine. There's the name of the graph and which state machine class will be used, which is our custom Sylius state machine class, which is with us for many years already. But this particular return request may be new, which means that customer just requested returns, accepted or rejected, and cancelled. But then, if the package is accepted, you may also have the states like package received. If you already received it from the customer, you may send repaired items if the repairment is the selection of your solution. You may return items to inventory, and at the end, you may mark it as resolved if you decide that that's all what you want to do it with this particular return request. On the level of units, so each unit from the return request may contain one or more items that customer would like to return. Each item has processing, receive, and return to inventory state only. But of course, with the Sylius state machine, it's super easy to add more if you need. It's also worth noticing that, as you could see here, the state of the return request is not duplicated on unit level, and therefore, let me be clear here, the customer may only request one resolution for given return request. So in case the customer would like to have one item repaired and second one refund or replaced, then they will need to create two return requests with each return request unit inside instead of the one. This may be mitigated also with the architecture of the return request. So you may present just one UI for the customer, but on the admin level or the code level, we'll create just two separate return requests. And this is the recommended approach for now, but it may change in the future. Also, depending on the requests from users of Sylius Plus, if enough of our Plus customers will request to trace resolution of the return request on the item level, we may implement it in the future. For now, let's remember that return request has only one type of the resolution per whole package. And if customer requires several different approaches, then they need to create several return requests. Of course, return requests are integrated with Refunds. This is the second plugin that comes integrated out of the box with Sylius Plus. It means that each time there will be a refund requested, you may just call it from the return management system. And of course, the state of the order will change. Usually it's partially refunded because usually you do not return all of the packages, but just some of them. And also, of course, if your payment gateway will support integration with the Refunds plugin, it will also be already handled. And if I recall correctly, Molly gateway has it already. Nonetheless, moving forward with our presentation, its returns are also integrated with returns, what I mentioned already previously. So once you are returning something to inventory because the package is not destroyed and you can still sell it, you can just put it into warehouse of your wish. Probably all the returns are just coming back to the given location, not to each warehouse when it was sent from. Therefore, you may just change the warehouse from which it should be returned. So by default, you should the selection is to the warehouse that was origin, but you can of course change it. And with the command architecture, this is something slightly new to the Sylius code base. It's not only there here, whole the API approach, not whole, but some big chunk of the new API approach is also implemented with the command-oriented architecture. The same is with the returns, but it also allows you to present one UI for the customer to grab their intention, but then split to the several commands if needed, if the customer will request more than one resolution for the returns, what I said earlier. Also important information is to mention, it's important to mention that this feature that I just described with several resolution is not served with the Sylius Plus out of the box. Moving forward to loyalty. Loyalty is, of course, the feature that is meant to bring our customers loyal and come back to our store more often. The idea is to create some points, some wallet, and assign to the customer. The customer may collect the points during his buyings. This is how the simplified class looks like. Of course, there are some getters and setters. We will discuss them later. But the wallet itself is just the entity that holds the balance, which is integers, and the collection of transactions that will influence this balance. New points can be easily added or subtracted with the account modifier. And I wanted to mention it because one of the features that we heard that were requested, not sure if it will land in the plus version itself, is, for example, to assign initial points for the customer. It's pretty common case that for the loyalty programs, if you just assign to the loyalty program, you are receiving some bunch of the points, and this may be achieved with the loyalty points account modifier. So you're just calling one function that, okay, for this customer, please assign X amount of points, and there is an array of details. Array of details is just a simple structure that allows you to put some metadata if needed. In Sylius, we are just putting order number here, so it can be related to from which order the points were assigned. But in your case, it can be, for example, customer registration and date. The second function is to just decrease. So you're also giving, decrease this customer this amount of points. As an extension of what you are seeing here, you may already realize that there can be only one point wallet per customer. The feature that I already talked a little bit about, so the points assigned to the customer during the registration is not the feature that is brought to you out of the box. However, it may be in the future, but for now we are only assigning 3 points to the customer account during checkouts. So there is a logic of customer rules, and you may define that for some particular products, a customer can receive fixed or some fixed amount, or just by item total. You may decide that, okay, so for each $1 spent in your shop, the customer may receive 1 point, or for each $4, etc. And then with the order processor interface during the checkout process, we are taking the loyalty. We are taking all the rules that are available for your particular channel. We are iterating over all the rule actions that are available for particular order, and we're calculating points. We are summarizing them into one number and then putting them into adjustments on the order itself. It means that the loyalty points are held also on the order as a neutral adjustment. Therefore, we can also trace it this way, and we have the history of it in the order if needed. Later during checkout completion, we are assigning these points to the customer. So let's jump through the code pretty quickly. As you can see on the first line, this is just a class that implements order processor interface. Order processors are important classes that are used through all the cart manipulation and checkout processes. They're mostly used for calculating the price of the products, taxation, promotion, etc. And now we are also integrated with loyalty points. So each time the cart will be processed with our processor, we'll count loyalty points and assign them as this adjustment. as I said, so we are taking all the rules that are available for your particular order, giving into account, for example, channels, and then we're summarizing all the rules that are available for you. And at the end, we are assigning this adjustment to the order itself. And this is how the class looks like at the end. By default, these points may be only used to exchange for coupons. Therefore, the customer that collects the points, once it will reach some threshold when you declare that, okay, you may purchase you may make the purchase of the coupon, he's accessing particular part of the customer account, and then he may exchange the coupons, the points for the coupon code, and this coupon code will decrease the price of the items. And here we just integrated with the Sylius promotion engine. So once you are buying a coupon, there is a promotion behind it that will give particular decrease of the items. They're usually fixed prices, so you should have some set of the promotions in admin panel, like $100, $1,000, etc. So like coupons, and customer is buying a coupon with the points, which can be used later during the checkout process. Here, it is important to remember that by default in Sylius, you can only use one coupon code per checkout. So if the customer will decide to use the coupon from this promotion, he cannot use other coupons, or he cannot by default use more than one coupon to pay for the order. Also, it's important to remember that for now, we do not provide any payment that will just decrease the wallet. So the wallet is just, we are just collecting the points and then they can be exchanged for the promotions, but you cannot just pay with, you just not can pay with it. And Maxi just asked, the customer converts points to coupon in customer account. Exactly. So there is additional section in the customer account when there are like loyalty points purchases, if I recall correctly, the name of the field. And then you can just select which exchange is most interesting for you, and then you're receiving a coupon. This coupon is generated on fly and then sent to the customer email. So you'll also need to have account to be able to use it. And the last part from the loyalty points is the transaction ledger. So of course, you cannot just add things to the balance. If we'll take a look into the class that we have seen at the beginning of this section, you can see the previous part. So just a few fields that are on the class itself, like ID, balance, and transaction. And then we have the add transaction, which is the only possibility for the transactions itself. Once the transaction is added, it cannot be removed. You can compensate the transaction, so you can just add another transaction that will reduce the amount of points, but you cannot just delete the transaction itself. And from the top, you can see that if the transaction is income, then we are increasing the balance. If the transaction is of type expense, then we need to reduce the amount. We are reducing the amount of points. And in case the points value will hit below 0, then there is exception from to the UI. Of course, it is validated on the different level to not access it, but in any case, if the validation will be omitted for whatever reason, there's also this exception called on the like domain level to ensure correctness of the calculation. And at the end, the transaction is added to the ledger. That would be all from a loyalty perspective. Let's take a look into additional construct compared to pure Sylius. So if you're Sylius Plus in your Docker, what are the different stuff that you need to care about? You need to remember that we embedded invoicing and refunds. I already mentioned them during the presentation. About details of each feature. So invoicing are used, for example, for business units, refunds for returns. But this means that as invoicing requires generation of the PDF of the invoice, then you need to have some shared storage for the invoices in your set. And this is only additional requirement compared to the Sylius Plus. Sylius Refunds also is generating files like credit memo for particular customers. So in both plugins, it's important to remember that there's some shared storage will be required to just hold the files. But despite that, no additional DB service is required. Therefore, you don't need some special database or Elasticsearch. These are not integrated out of the box. We're not forcing you for some particular queue system or anything like that. Anything that is handled with the queues or comments may be routed to the Doctrine. So the Doctrine will just have additional table in the database that will hold messages that we would like to process later. This is exactly how the catalog promotion feature is currently implemented. So you are allowed to use any queue system that you wish if you have requirements for that, but by default, we are just storing it in the DB. For example, MySQL or Postgres. Postgres has, according to my knowledge, even better support for holding the comments. But yeah, it's up to you where you will store them. From the Plus perspective, there are no additional requirements on their service level. Just to sum up what I just say, why is Sylius worth it? First of all, you're receiving SLA, which is mentioned at the beginning, so you will have the support from me and my colleagues that work on the code base itself. I hope that I convince you that it provides a shorter time to market because these features are ready to use and as extendable as they can be according to our values in Sylius. It's always less code to maintain because this code will be maintained by us, and every bug that you will mention to us, we'll try to provide you a workaround so you can be unblocked, and then in the next release we'll fix it in the Sylius code base. And of course, because there is less code to maintain, there's less code to write, so cheaper development and maintenance. Moving to one of the last slides, what are the future? Of course, please visit our roadmap or contact with our product owner. There can be always something that we can probably do together. I can only say that we already support Symfony 5.4 and PHP 8.0 with the main code base and Plus version. Plus is also installable with the newest minor release of Sylius. We are working right now to provide Symfony 6 and PHP 8.1 supports. Doctrine attributes should be also available in the code base itself. I showed you the screens with the annotation. That's why I wanted to mention it. From the bigger features, there are campaign management, which will be highly correlated to the catalog promotion. Is one of the next big features that will be delivered to the Plus. Also, we are working on the modularization, so the package should be available to split and just work as separate features. These are the main ideas that I have for you. Thank you very much for being with me and sitting for this almost an hour. And I'm open for any questions if you have.
Thank you, Łukasz. Yes, Maxime.
I have a question. You answer all of my question before, so thank you. I have just one remaining. In the split delivery, can I choose a quantity in an order item to ship? Yes? Okay.
Absolutely. I'm wondering if I can just, to be clear, as it was told me that you want technical details, I wanted to focus on the code perspective, not know the UI, but we can just check how the feature looks like. I'm just opening some demo to present it to you exactly.
And I'm gonna share you guys a link to the Sylius Plus demo, so you can just go in the UI and check in the both back office and front office.
Okay.
Let's just for this particular case, let's try if I can show you how it works. So this is this is the closed demo, but I'm not sure which one you will receive, but it will look more or less the same. I will go to the admin panel. As you can see, here are some channel admins, so I can log in either super admin, fashion, or home admin. Let's for now go with the super one. Let's from the shipment. may go from here. No, so the let's go to the order. This is not shipped yet. You have two options, so you can just ship it directly, and also you have the information from which warehouse it will be delivered and which item is there. There's like basic winter hot cup, but or I can partially ship it. Each product will be here to select. You can also change the warehouse and tracking code. The problem is that all of these items has only one item inside, if I see correctly. Here are some more, but okay. So it's paid but not shipped. So I can show you this one, and you can, as there are two regular fit casual, you can select that I will only send one this and one this, and of course, if you wish, you can just unset or set all of them. And let's just do it. So set some part of it. Let's send it from Leon. Oh, there's also Lil one for Maxim. And you can see that shipment has been successfully split and sent, which means here you have one shipment that is already shipped. There is another one that is ready to be shipped, and it contains this split of the previous one, and the whole state is partially shipped. Let me know if you need to see other features. There will be some presentation. You can also click and test it out later. So I will also be probably available somehow to you if you will have some questions, or anyone from my company.
I just have a question. Did you try to roll back to a Sylius Plus to a Sylius?
No, I didn't heard about
why would you do that?
It's just a question. Maybe it can happen one day.
Okay.
I don't know.
For your information,
for example, if I want only some features, actually I have to use all Sylius Plus, but later maybe I will want to remove some Sylius Plus features to use only some bundles of it when it will be splitted later.
Sure. Let's start with some bragging. I would say that Sylius Plus is so good that you will not want to resign from it. But yeah, in any case, if I recall the deal, some part of the code will stay with you. You will just not receive the updates later. So that's also some part that you are not.
That's what I was about to say. You will keep it. I mean, you will keep the code as it is. So even I mean, as it is today, if we contract for a Sylius Plus project and then you want to stop, and you will keep the code as it is. I mean, you won't be able to get the update and stuff, but you will keep the code as it is. So maybe this partially answer the question. And sorry, Łukasz, I interrupt you.
And the last concern from Maxim, as I understood, was about modularization. So we are working on it right now, and probably almost for sure, we'll try to provide some migration path for the customers that did not use some features. So in case, for example, you did not use customer pools and it will be separate plugin, it should be probably possible to just remove plus, install the packages that are required, as they will have the same namespace, because what we want to do is to make split repo and serve some packages as separate. So the code base should be still compatible, but you will just migrate back from the features that you refuse to use. So you will lose this data, but the rest of them should be possible. Yet we are just on the moment of prototyping and experimenting with it. So I'm not sure how it will be. Especially that the first modularization will probably be more business-oriented than code-oriented. So we'll still serve most of the code base, but just turn off some features, etc., instead of send you just the packages of code that will be related to one. So this like a little bit more later future. Oh, one more thing though. About the future, Sylius Plus should be stable this year. So right now we are on the alpha version. We try to reduce the amount of BC breaks, and every BC break should be noted down in our upgrade files to provide you the smoothest path possible. But this year we want to stable Sylius Plus, and therefore we are following Semper. Was it deep enough or shallow enough? Any feedback about the presentation? Would you like to see more of code?
For me, it was perfect. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to hear that.